Thank you very much, and thank you, Pam. I'd like to thank my faculty colleagues for this incredible honor. Joining the ranks of UNF's distinguished professors is certainly a highlight of my academic career. I'd also like to congratulate Chip Klostermeyer on his candidacy this year. It's truly a privilege to be paired with Chip. I'd like to begin with a heartfelt thank you to my family, my wife Sue, who's here today, and my children Eric and Sierra, who aren't. They've put up with my sometimes too long hours and my often extended trips. They've also been extremely supportive while I was away, and always reminded me when I came home of just how much I was missed. I'd also like to thank my parents, Al and Kathy, for raising me to enjoy working hard and enjoy the rewards of working hard. I also want to thank many of my colleagues, and we don't have time to thank every one of them today, but I'd like to point out a few by name. Paul Mason and Jay Coleman, from whom I learned to be a good teacher, scholar, and service provider. Steve Shapiro, from whom I learned that the university must be more than simply teaching and scholarship. Service matters and is critical. Tom Leonard, who taught me how to write grants and build programs. Steve Paulson, without whose persistent encouragement, I doubt I would have had the courage to accept the IB directorship all those years ago. It's interesting how recognition like the Distinguished Professor Award makes one reflect on the path one's taken. I doubt that I would have believed it had anyone told me 19 years ago when I joined the UNF faculty that I'd be standing here today. Indeed, I've often heard awardees talk of how humbling it was to win an award of this caliber. I confess I never really truly understand what they meant by that until now. I'm very aware that I wouldn't be up here today without the guidance, assistance, patience, leadership, and mentorship of so many of you. I also know that while I've always tried to be the so-called triple threat that my good friend and the 2005 Distinguished Professor Jay Coleman talks about, excellent in teaching, scholarship, and service, I'm sure that the primary contribution that led me to be here today is, in fact, my service. Within that category, Coggin's International Business, or IB program, is surely the particular achievement on which my reputation is based. Although I don't typically post inspirational quotes, there's one that I've always had in my office. Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." I don't suppose that we've changed the world in any large way through our work here, at least not yet. But the IB program has broken new ground for UNF and opened the door to the world for so many of our students and faculty. And I'm not at all sure that we can call the group responsible for the program's success small. In fact, what I'd like to do today is tell you a story about the evolution of the IB program, giving credit to those without whom the program would not be all it is today. I arrived at UNF in 1990 to find a small group of business school faculty who'd been pushing for an international business major for some time. In 1996, that major came to be, and our new dean at that time, Earl Trainum, had a vision to develop a reputation for UNF in leading international business education. Amazingly, Earl put his trust into an untested, newly promoted associate professor. I'm still not quite sure why. Earl asked me to write a white paper on what the college needed to do to develop a national reputation in the IB field. Being a young, clever guy, the paper asked for the moon, knowing that Earl would certainly only give me a tiny fraction of what I requested. Imagine my surprise then when I met with him and he said only, "We can do all of this." Earl then proceeded to provide the leadership and support for everything that the IB program accomplished. For example, when department chairs were reluctant to shift resources to a new program, Earl convinced them that it made sense. When we looked for new partners abroad, Earl was always at the forefront. Indeed, sometimes I think that everything I learned about leadership, I learned from Earl. Deans, of course, need outstanding associate deans, and Earl Trainum had his in Jeff Michelman. If Earl provided the political clout and helped push the faculty along, Jeff was the one who ended up with all the headaches. My good friend and mentor, Alec Novak, Dean of the School of Management at Warsaw University, often points out the way that Earl, Jeff, and I functioned as a team. He names this a model for what ought to happen at universities. And a team we were. We shared a vision, we trusted one another, and we always sought to support each other. Our small group of 3 accomplished a lot. And that's the part of the story that many of you know. But I'll tell you the rest of the story now. It's a story about why UNF has been such a special place to me over the past 2 decades. One task that we undertook early in the program was developing an international dual degree program. It sounded exciting and, frankly, a cool thing to work on. Little did we know how very difficult it would be. We relied on having strong foreign partners like the Cologne University of Applied Sciences, Lothar Czerny and Harold Sander, who helped us put together an innovative curriculum. We were very proud of that curriculum. We came back and realized that that curriculum created all kinds of problems at UNF. Our structure simply didn't allow for many of the changes that were necessary for international cooperation. Some of these problems included not offering enough classes at UNF in this double degree program to qualify students for a degree. There were accreditation issues because faculty at other universities are selected and credentialed in a different way than we are here in the United States. At any point in the program, any number of administrators here at UNF could have said, no, that program won't happen. But we never faced that situation. The response was uniformly, I'm not sure how we can do this, but let's find a way. Who were some of these people? Deb Kay helped us with issues from admissions to records to financial aid. Without her, I have no doubt that we would have given up early. I still call Deb when I need help thinking problems through. Mauricio Gonzalez. He's been critical to our success in the Coggin College of Business. When it became clear that we needed representation at the vice presidential level in order to seal our first partnership in China, Mauricio was there. He returned from that trip and asked, despite being extremely overworked, that international be added to his job description. Paul Ryle and his entire housing department have bent over backwards any number of times to help our international exchange students have great places to live. Floyd Hurst has been a godsend in ensuring that study abroad programs reimbursements are streamlined. Karen Stone and her crew of lawyers who are positive and proactive streamlined our ability to sign international agreements with various cultures. And of course, President John Delaney's support, both through the TLO program and through the flagship program, have allowed us to do so much that we could not have done any other way. My profound thanks to each of you and to the teams that you lead here at UNF. Your work matters, though as a faculty, sometimes we forget to say thank you. We do appreciate you. So what was the result of this university-wide effort? A global MBA program that now has 10 students from each of the 4 universities. Those universities are UNF and universities in Germany, Poland, and China, spending 15 months together studying in all 4 countries and earning 2 master's degrees. The program won Best Practices in International Education Award here in the United States and was one of only 2 programs featured in Germany's top news weekly as identifying the models for the future of international business education. In 2010, by the way, Coggin launches its second such double degree program, which we call the Ibero-American MBA. It's a bilingual double degree program with Spain and Argentina, and even here at UNF, some of the courses will be taught in Spanish. As important as the proactive support of the upper administration has been to the program's success, I tell you there's one person without whom we would likely be years behind where we are. She is Ann Sheridan Fugard. We hired Ann when it became clear that, although we had many programs available for students to study abroad, they were not taking advantage of those programs to the extent we'd hoped. Ann came on board and immediately began streamlining processes, developing websites, and informing advisors of what was available and why the students should participate. As a faculty member, it was truly enlightening how Ann's organizational skills led to more than a tripling of our study abroad numbers in a very short time. She's amazing. Perhaps you don't know, but in a recent report, UNF ranked number 4 in the country in the number of students participating in short-term study abroad programs. Roughly half of those are Coggin students. Of course, Ann had significant support from Cheryl Campbell, who directs our outstanding Coggin College of Business Advising Office, and from her staff, particularly Kate Mattingly, who now works directly with the students on their study abroad programs. The role that these folks play at UNF is critical. My faculty colleagues, I encourage you to take the time to thank our various staff personnel for the contributions they're making to our students' education. All good things, as they say, come to an end. Thus it was that I turned over leadership of the IB program to Jeff Michelman and Andres Gallo earlier this year. They've done wonderful things with the program already, including adding new partners, adding new summer study abroad options, and adding a new double degree program. The future is very bright for the International Business Flagship Program. I'd like to close my remarks with a few words on opportunities at UNF. I've seen the university change significantly during my tenure here, and most of the changes have been quite positive. The scholarly environment has become much stronger, and that's a very good thing. I do hope that the shift toward increased scholarship occurs in a way that allows us to retain emphasis on high-quality, innovative programs. To me, programs need time and attention. We cannot just hope that having good teacher scholars teaching classes will generate the correct educational outcomes. We have seen just how programmatic efforts can pay off at UNF with the 4 flagship programs we have and our nationally recognized jazz program. I also point to Jorge Febles, Chair of World Languages, who hired Wu Yang'an last year, who has single-handedly quadrupled demand for Chinese language courses in just a year. Programs are ultimately what the university is about. What does it take to ensure that programs remain at the forefront? It takes passion, certainly. I hope that our passion for programs grows as our passion for research does. But passion's not enough. I offer the following challenges to you, knowing, as I indicated before, that we have excellent administrators, staffers, and faculty in place, and that many of you have already taken up these challenges. I challenge our administrators to continue in the tradition of Earl Trainum, to think big, and to let, yes we can, be the default response to new ideas. Be open to taking risks and doing things differently than we've done them in the past. Lead. I challenge our staff to follow in the tradition of Ann Sheridan Fugard, to know what opportunities exist for our students and to help the students and the faculty to find ways to help students take advantage of those opportunities. For Ann, students always come first. I challenge my faculty colleagues to find one issue, whether it be a student club, a new or existing program, whatever fires you up, and to make a commitment to spend 2 to 5 hours per week moving that agenda forward. You'll be amazed at how even 2 hours per week can continue UNF's tradition of enhancing educational and scholarly quality. And I challenge all of us to build that team of people with common passion and commitment. Nothing truly special can happen without such a team. If we accept these challenges, then we can continue to be members of that small group of people that truly makes a difference. Thank you.